since the last time that you came on to chat with us, you had another surgery, right?
Yep.
Can you explain what procedure you went through?
Yeah, so I have these things called tissue extenders in, and these tissue extenders were to stretch the skin, so they were able to do a skin graft that looks like this. So
Right.
it fixed the discoloration that I had with the beginning of my surgery, because they have brought skin and tissue up from my leg, and that's like a
Wow.
huge scar on my leg. So that's how I had my mandible reconstructed.
How are you feeling?
I feel great. I feel like I'm healing properly and quickly. Wednesday, I go to get the stitches out, so that'll be exciting. A little painful, but exciting. Other than that, I've been taking my antibiotics to make sure I don't get an infection because it is a very serious surgery. But I've been great.
Because you could get necrosis, correct?
I don't know what I could
That's
get,
like
but
when your skin like rots off and dies off.
I guess that's also a concern that they may have, but they didn't tell me those concerns. They just said we don't want you to get any kind of staph infection or
Right.
just like a regular infection. We don't want you to get an infection and have anything being ruined or just not looking right, and we want you to be pleased with the surgery and your results. So that's why they gave me antibiotics.
So can I ask you, were you nervous having the surgery? What type of surgeon did the surgery?
He is a head and neck surgeon. I don't know the term that he has for his title, but it's head and neck. And he's been doing this pretty much for I don't know how long, but over 20 years.
Because the scar placement, the way that he did everything, looks so clean and neat. I have to
how
say.
he has this scar right on my jawline. You won't be able to see this scar.
Right.
Once
Once it heals, it's gonna. The way that he did it very aesthetically pleasing.
Yes, and that's what they said when I was in pre-op. They said we want this surgery to look aesthetically pleasing. That's literally the word they used. We want it to look aesthetically pleasing to the eye, to you, to the surgeons, for your recovery. We just want things to look great for you. So it was really nice.
Did you have the confidence in those doctors that they were going to get the job done the way that you envisioned?
Yeah, I was a little nervous. I was like, I wonder how this is going to look. Just because I knew it was going to be a big surgery and a big transformation. So I was like, how is this going to look? And I was a little nervous, but Dr. Fernandez hasn't let me down so far. So I know that he's just going to keep just pleasing me and making sure that everything's right. So I was a little nervous, but when I woke up and I looked into the mirror, I was like, okay, this looks really good. I know this is going to heal perfectly. I know this is going to heal quickly, and the scarring looks good. It doesn't look too much. It doesn't look too big. It's seamless. So it's
And
good.
what's next?
Next is the reconstruction on my bottom lip.
Do they have an idea of when you're going to be able to do that, or?
They don't know yet because this just happened on May 3rd. So they want to give this enough time to heal all the way before we go back under the needle and the knife,
Yeah.
So he wants to make sure that I'm completely healed, and then he's going to he's going to make an incision here and here, and then pull it up, and then sew it together, and then it'll be straight across, if that makes sense.
He's a very, very good surgeon because to make everything look back to being aesthetically pleasing and to make you happy is the most important part.
Yeah, it's great. It's amazing. I'm so blessed and lucky to have had surgeons that I do have. The ones, I was going to go to a hospital called Halifax Medical Center, and this is in Daytona, and they thought that it would be best for me to go to Shands Hospital, and that's in Jacksonville. And he was like, the surgeons there are top tier. You
right.
We want you to get the best of the best, so you get the best results in your recovery. Because before this happened, they're like, you were a pretty girl, and we know that, so we want to continue to keep you beautiful, so you're not unsure of yourself or down on yourself because you don't look the same,
You reached out to us and wanted to come on here today for Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yes.
And that says a lot because you took your pain and you're finding purpose in it now. So what are some of the things that you're doing?
So right now I've been advocating a lot about mental health, about the importance of taking care of ourselves, the importance of making sure we're taking care of others while we're trying to help each other get over our mental illnesses. Because I know there's a lot of people that suffer depression and anxiety. And I know from watching me come from where I started to where I am now, I just want to be a hope and an inspiration to others and let them know, you are not alone. I've been battling depression and anxiety, bad for the last 2.5, 3 years. I've had it my whole life, but it wasn't as bad until I got about 21 years old. And Now I'm just working on advocating a lot about mental health. I start school in June for psychology. My goal is to be a licensed psychologist, and 4.5 years, I'm thinking about going to get my master's after the 4 years of my bachelor's, so I can open up my own practice, so I can have my own clients. That way, it's just simpler. I don't have to work for anyone. I can work for myself. I can make my own hours, you know.
An independent woman, a
Yes,
strong independent woman, right
exactly.
there. I love that.
That'll be cool once you hit that point too, and have all the surgery done and everything. Like, give it 5 more years,
I know,
and you'll
right?
be at that point. That's not that long.
I know, and I feel like it's gonna go by just super quick. Like before I know it, it'll be like the third year that the time has went by, and it's been 3 years since the shooting, and like I'm just gonna look like a completely different person. Things are gonna be completely different. I'll probably be like 2 years into school, so it'll just be super good, super just like uplifting and inspiring to others. So it'll be nice to have that.
For me, I do therapy. I've been in therapy for nine
Okay.
and a half years. I struggle with bipolar disorder,
Okay.
OCD, body dysmorphia, and the list continues. But I always appreciate it, someone that knows what I was going through. And that's why I feel like you are the perfect person for a job like that,
Yeah.
because you know the struggle, you know the pain, and you know what you had to do to make it through those difficult times.
I know, like, when I told some, like, family and friends, like, I got a little discouraged at first. They're like, no, there's no way you can have, like, your mental illness and be a psychologist. There's no way you can do it. I'm like, yes,
You
there is.
can.
You want
Yeah, you
people,
definitely
you
can.
know, like, you want people who know the experience. You want people who know what it means to suffer. And, like, you want
Right.
to know people who knows what it feels like to suffer in silence. And
How long did you suffer in silence
for
before
almost
you
a year.
decided to put that in your hand?
I was suffering for about a year. I was going through some things. Like I told you guys in the first podcast, what my mental illness is. And I was just going through like a really dark time. Like it was scary. It was just dark. And I thought my only resort and I thought my only answer at the time was to commit suicide. And now that I'm alive, I know there's so much, like there's so many more answers to life, you know?
You're right.
So like I almost gave up and lost my ability to find the answers that I look for in life, you know, find what the meaning of life is and what my purpose is. And I almost lost that. So I suffered in silence for about a year until I made the decision to try and attempt, you know what? And I regret it every day because, you know, I look different and my appearance is a reminder that, you know, I did almost give up. And that's why I advocate so deeply and so strongly on mental health because, like, don't give up, guys. It's not worth the pain and the suffering that you'll feel trying to recover and still going through your mental illnesses. It's not worth the pain, so don't give up. Just keep fighting, you know?
What would you have done now that it's after the fact and everything? And of course, you had other things going on with the voices and everything that made a lot of problems. But now that you've been able to reflect, what would you have done beforehand differently to maybe avoid getting in that situation in the first place?
I would have accepted the help that was offered to me because I don't know if I mentioned this before, but my parents tried to get me help. Like they called my boyfriend and they were like, we think that it's best for you to take Jazmine to the hospital because we know she's hearing things and we don't want to get cops involved. You know, we don't want to send cops to her house because if we do, they'll Vic-ract her and only have us to be her contact, and we live 2.5 hours away. There's no way we can be her like companions while she's going through this. So take her to the hospital and try and get her in the psychiatric facility. I refused. I was a mess. I was like, no, you're not taking me. I'm not going in. I'm not crazy. I know this is going to get it done. This is going to be over. I was just so sure of like what I was hearing that I thought it was something else or someone else. So I thought it was just going to end on its own. But it didn't end, and that's when it got dark, and then I thought about, you know, ending it.
Did you already know like what you were going to do to try to take your life? Like, did you already know?
I did because I was like even weeks before, like I had that gun like pointed to my face, like not my face, but like under my chin, and like I had that gun to my head once before, and I was gonna do it then, but I was like, no, don't do it, don't do it. It's not gonna be the result that you're looking for. Like it's not gonna help you. And then it got dark. Like when I tell you it got dark, it was pretty dark, and that's when I was scared because I was like, I have no one. I'm hearing these things and no one's helping me. No one can hear these things that I'm hearing. So I feel like it's just, I don't know. Like my roommate said to me the other day, I don't mean to get off topic, but he said to me, he's like, it's all in your head, you know? He's like, your mind perceives things in different ways. But like, I just don't understand, like, still to this day, like schizophrenia, it makes sense to me, but it doesn't at the same time. Like, where do these voices come from? Like, who is it? What is it? And like, how does it stop? Because like, it stopped for me, and like, it stopped out of nowhere, and like, it's very scary. And it stopped out of nowhere. I think it's because I got on medication, some really good medication. Afterwards, all that's what I take.
So I know with schizophrenia, most people aren't diagnosed until they're like in their 20s, correct?
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
son is predisposed to the schizophrenia gene.
Okay.
I did genetic testing and they told me to look out for mental health issues, and he already struggles a lot with his mental health. So I'm
Yeah.
on top of it now, but it's my biggest fear that when he reaches his 20s,
Mm.
that's going to be his reality.
You know, and it's scary to have that be in your reality because I also had something called psychosis. I was diagnosed
Right.
with psychosis. And
I've been
psychosis,
there before.
yep, it means when you are like in different, like it's, I forget the definition, but it's like when your reality is a different reality to you. Like you're just not living in
Right.
reality. You're living in the
You
world.
can't tell what's real from what's not real. I've
Exactly.
had that happen. You look at the clock, you have no perception of time. You just stare at it blankly. I've been
Yeah.
there. That is a very scary mental headspace to be in.
It is. It's super scary, and especially to go through it for a year and not have answers to like what I was feeling.
Well, and that's what I was trying to understand. How could someone with schizophrenia, like, obviously you're perceiving all these things very differently than what's actually happening, but how could someone identify that so they could make a change?
Once you begin to start hearing things, that's when you want to like immediately go get help. Like you don't want to wait, you don't want to reply, you don't want to like start to communicate with these things. Like you just want to go get help, go get medication, and learn ways to deal with the voices when you are hearing things. Like I had to learn how to cope with it, like because it was all I would hear. Like after like attempting, you know what, and having that like recovery process, it was hard. Like this recovery, like to recover and have bone taken out of my leg, to learn how to eat again, to learn how to walk again. Like this recovery was hard, but it was something that made me so much stronger than I've ever been before. So like my advice to like schizophrenic people would be go get the help you deserve because you're not alone. You know, I deal with it, I face it too. And get on good medication and get on like an antipsychotic that will help you like decrease these voices because it'll start to go away, you know?
Whenever you're at that point, were you like afraid of going to the hospital because you don't want to be labeled?
Yeah, like I didn't want to be labeled crazy. I didn't want to be labeled manic, you know, like I never had a situation in my life where I was like manic, where I was someone who had to deal with like voices. Like
How important is it for you to get the proper sleep, especially struggling with mental health issues? That is
and
something that
it,
a lot of people do not talk about.
you know, it's crucial at night. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Like at night, sometimes I hear like faint whispers, and like it'll be like right in my ear, and it's like so spooky. And like I just try to ignore it because I just ignore it and like move on with my day. But like it gets scary, and it's crucial for me to sleep properly because for a whole year I was like insomnia. Like I didn't
Right.
sleep. Like my brain was just firing off with like 5 different voices, and I was like, well, I can't think. I can't think on my own. Like I couldn't think on my freaking own. Like I could not have a thought that was just by myself, just me and myself and I. Like I haven't had that feeling in so long. I missed the feeling of when it was just me and my own presence, and there was nothing dark trying to attack me. You know?
Is it hard to get the voices to stop being so loud sometimes? Like you feel like everything's loud?
You know, they're very quiet when they do talk. They don't scream. The one time, like sometimes I have like these feelings that they're gonna like yell in my ear, but like they're very like quiet and subtle, and it's just like you're just taken back by it, you know, and you're just like. My biggest thing is like, who is it? Because you know, I believe in God, so I believe in like spiritual warfare. I believe in like you know the man downstairs. I know that he's real. I know that God is real, and I know that he does try to attack people who are children of God, you know? And I'm not gonna lie to you, I was living for the world for a little bit. I was not living for God, and that actually, I think, is what brought that dark presence here, I guess, because it was just like I was living for everyone but God at the time, and it didn't do me any justice. So, you know, it was easy to attack me because I wasn't doing anything God related. I was doing things that were negative and affecting me in a negative way.
When you're hearing all these voices and dealing with all these things, is it hard to ask people for help sometimes when it's too overwhelming for you?
A little bit. Like, I don't usually tell my boyfriend when I hear things because, like, I don't want to, like, bombard him with, like, just worry and fear and voices. Like, that is just an annoying thing to have to have. Like, to have schizophrenia is super annoying, and if there's anyone else that has schizophrenia here and you feel the same way, I feel like I'm, like, agreeing with you. It's so annoying, and it's annoying to ask for help because no one understands your pain, no one understands the voices, no one understands, like, what it means and what they're saying. So it's just hard to not have someone who can relate to what I experience.
Right.
And it's hard to not have that relationship with someone who knows how it feels. And it got even harder when my psychologist decided to just refuse to see me. Like, she wouldn't book appointments with me, she wouldn't make time for me, and she made the excuse that Florida healthcare, where I go, apparently had her doing busy stuff, but, like, I'm your patient.
Right.
You're supposed to see me. That is like, you meet a girl, she's 21 years old at the time, she shot herself to commit suicide, and you just stop seeing her. That is just injustice. Like, it's horrible. You know?
Shame on them. Shame
right?
on that doctor.
Right, and like my mom says, I think you should report her because if you don't report her, she's just gonna fail so many other people, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
You know?
Has that been a normal thing for you though? I mean, I'm sure not a lot of people are completely ditching you, but whenever it comes to medical professionals and stuff, have you had a lot that you felt like kind of let you down?
You know what? Like, I've had great experiences when it's come to like medical attention and help. I had just one bad experience with a psychologist, but everyone else has been very nurturing and very like supportive and caring. And like, I've had amazing doctors throughout like Halifax when it first happened, and now I have amazing surgeons and fellows and Shands Hospital. And I do have a new psychologist. Her name's Kaisa. She is lovely. We're very close like this. She's down to earth. So it's like,
you know what? Everything happens for a reason. And when you were just saying that, I see the reason. It's because you're going to finally have somebody that genuinely, truly wants what's best for you, and will make sure that you go in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And like, she asked me, like, Heather, my old psychologist, would like, she would want to gossip. Like, she wouldn't want to like kill me. She would want to gossip about like, she wanted to know like what the voices were saying and what they thought about her and how they were gonna like weird stuff, right? Like, just weird stuff.
Right. That doesn't even help that helpful
about my
to
relationship. And I understand, like, okay, you want to learn about like some things, but some things are just a little bit like, when are we gonna talk about like me actually attempting suicide?
People have to remember too, whenever you're in such a delicate state like that, and you're really trying to figure yourself out before something goes wrong again, if you have a bad doctor, psychologist, counselor, you know, whatever it is, you can go shopping. You can go around and check out other ones, because I feel like a lot of people don't get the right one the first time and then they just give up. And that's the worst thing you can do.
That is a really bad thing to do. Like, just giving up in general is just not the answer, you know? Like, so it was really nice to get a new psychologist, but it was really hard to adjust to a new one because I don't like letting new people in, you know?
I was just about to say, there's not a lot of continuity of care when in the healthcare system in general, especially in mental health. When you start with a therapist, I've had so many experiences where you start, you open up to them, and then they quit. Who wants to keep opening up to someone new?
Right? That's a big thing. Like, how many people are you going to have to go through to get the help that you deserve? I try to make that a big thing in, like, a friend's life that I know. I'm like, you know, you don't need to go through all these guys. You can just, like, find one and, like, really build something with them, you know? And it's all about building a healthy lifestyle. And that's about our mental health, like, building healthy lifestyles and healthy coping mechanisms, and just learning more about our mental health and learning about what it is. Like, it's our emotional, psychological, and social well-being, you know? And
Absolutely.
it's like how we react, it's how we feel, it's how we do anything, you know? It's all about our perspective and how we view things in life and how we're going to live for tomorrow instead of living in the past and all the hurt.
What helps you the best? Is getting outside and like connecting with nature or exercise? Like, what is your go-to thing?
Going to the beach or the pool, I love
I
spending
love
time
it.
outside. It's like, it's crucial for me to be outside because, like, I'm still in the same apartment that I, like, did my attempt in, and
Right.
it messes with me, like my psyche. It messes with my psyche sometimes because, like, but when I go in that room, I get like super lightheaded. Like I feel like a sense of just like lightheadedness, and I'm like,
I
whoa,
can only imagine.
you
It
know?
probably, it's like that PTSD comes
It
flashing back in.
is. It is.
I was reading a study the other day about like ice baths and stuff being really, really good for you, or like a cold plunge, just because it helps reset everything so well. So it's like helps you start fresh every day whenever you are struggling with that stuff. Have you ever tried anything like that?
I haven't. I don't like cold water.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah, like I want to try it so bad. It's just so like nerve wracking because I don't want to just like sugar it to the point where I'm just like get hypothermia or something, you know?
Which you do have to be careful. Yeah.
Sometimes, like even somebody said, like even putting like an ice pack on your chest, it helps to ground you.
That's really smart. I never thought about trying like an ice pack on my chest or anything like that, but I'm gonna try and give that a go. I used to do this one thing when I was younger. I used to put like I did it for like my bags, but like the mom said that I could do it when I'm like hearing things because it will like kind of like slow down my mind a little bit. Putting like 2 spoons in the freezer and then putting it under your eye.
Ooh, yes.
It helps your under eyes like when you have like black under eyes. But also, mom said it could help soothe like the voices. So
So, did you have your dog prior to this situation?
I did.
So, do you notice that your dog is more like loving, or you have a better relationship now?
Yeah, he has definitely grown closer to me because I was gone for a while. I was gone for
Right.
like a month and a half, and about a month. But he was gone. I was gone, and he was very like, "Where's my mom? Like, where is she? Why is
Right.
she here?" And I came home and I started bawling my eyes out. And I think he started crying too. He's actually right behind me, just making noises.
How do you go about getting an emotional support dog? Like, what is the process for all that?
It's a Emotional Support Association. I think something like that. It's ESA, and there's a website, and you type in your dog, the breed that it is, the weight that it weighs, and then um, they literally just sign you. Like they'll have a doctor read like your symptoms and why you need an emotional support animal, because it'll ask you like a series of questions, like a lot of questions, like why do you need this dog? What are you feeling? Are you depressed? Do you have anxiety? Like schizophrenia? Like it'll say like all the things that you have like a disorder for, and you click and select whichever one you have, and then mine took me like 5 minutes to get. I did it online and it was super simple. So
Right. You just pay the fee. They basically
yeah, it
give
was
it to
like
you once you pay the money. It's
yeah, but you have to like re-register.
yeah, it's not hard to get.
Yeah,
Huh.
it's not hard to get, so it's really nice to have. And plus, it's cheaper for our apartments too. So like, when I first did it, I was like, I don't really need to have a emotional support dog. But then I did because I had a lot of like suicide attempts. Like I took pills at my old apartment 3 years ago, and I took a whole lot of ibuprofen, and I was super lightheaded, super like out of it. But I didn't die, so I don't know. I've had a lot of attempts, and like it's scary because like I never thought I'd try to take my life so often and so frequently and so much. But
Do you have a safety plan in place? Do you currently have a safety plan in place, like with your boyfriend or your roommates or your parents? That like, if I'm feeling a certain type of way, like I will try to communicate with you, or how do you do that?
when I my secret plan, I guess, would kind of be just like communicating with my boyfriend and my roommate as much as I can about
You're
what I'm
feeling
feeling and what I'm experiencing at that time if I am going through something. Um, I know suicide won't be a resort for me anymore. You know, like I attempted with a firearm, and that's pretty scary to do. 54,000 people actually attempt a year with a firearm and die from it. So like, I'm not ashamed to be a part of that statistic, but I'm saddened because I feel like I let down my parents. You know, I let myself down because I never thought that I would give up so much, but I did, and I almost really gave up, and it's really scary.
How do you make that change? Like, because you said you had, put it to your head before, and like you had got ready to do it. So, for people who are struggling and are kind of like thinking about making those attempts, what can you do different to make it so that you can kind of push those attempts away? Like, you could have got rid of the weapon, but at the same time, there are a million other things you can do too.
Right, exactly. Like, I guess my advice would be, I know for one would be talk to someone immediately. Um, get rid of your weapon if you have had a time where you have held it up to yourself or had a thought of like taking that gun and harming yourself. Definitely go to seek professional help. I know there's a hotline 988 you can call or text. There's a lot of resources for us to resort to, and I know it's just not the answer to give up. I know for me, I wish someone would have told me that it would have been okay and that the voices would have stopped, but no one told me that because no one understood it. So
Right.
I said something, and I think I might have mentioned this to you guys before, but I said I feel like I had to shoot myself to find peace, and
Right.
that wasn't how I had to find peace because it didn't stop. The voices didn't stop, So like to end your life, it's just not the answer. It's not the answer because I'm so grateful for this second chance that I do have, and I'm trying to make the most of what I do still have, and I'm blessed to have my tongue and be able to talk verbally. Like I'm blessed to have my lips still in my mouth and all my molars. Like I'm blessed to have that. Like giving up is not your answer. It's not the choice that you should make in that time of darkness and that time of worry or fear.
How do you handle the rude comments sometimes when you are live? Because I know that could be hard on someone that truly struggles, truly struggles.
I know the comments that I do get that like scorn a little bit. They're like, no one truly understands what I go through. Like not everyone knows that I have schizophrenia. I don't tell everyone that. And I just want people to understand like words hurt, words carry weight, and the things you say you can't take back. So whatever that person's going through, you're not gonna know or understand it. And to be so hurtful is just ignorant. It's just rude. Like you also
and behind a screen, it's always somebody that doesn't have a profile picture.
Yeah, you're behind a screen. Like your parents obviously did something wrong because you didn't have to say that hurtful comment. And I kind of just brush it off and like ignore it because like I get so many comments, so many positive comments. Like the love that I get from my community that I'm been building, it's just immense. Like it's
the love outweighs the negativity in your case.
It's so overwhelming and so like just nurturing for my spirit and my soul because like I've been like at the darkest point in my life. Like I thought I seen the light at one point, and like I know for me it just wasn't my time. I just knew that it wasn't like the hurtful comments. Like it's not their place to judge me when they don't know what I'm going through.
Does your family ever worry? Because from a perspective on an outside, that like one of those comments could make or break you.
Yeah, my family definitely worries. I ignore my family, I think now, and I don't know if they're like happy or sad about that. But I just try and like communicate with my family as much as possible because I know I scare them, and like I'm the youngest out of four, so like the youngest one was like took her life and died. So I just try and do my due diligence of like keeping a good, strong connection with them. But I don't want to annoy them with my I don't want to annoy them with my situation and like have them fearing or worrying about me all the time. I know my mom told me, she said, I thought it was a joke when we got the call. She's like, I thought someone was like pulling a prank on us. I was like, why would someone pull a prank on you about me shooting myself? But it's definitely something that is scary to have my parents worry the way they do about me. I don't want that for my family, so that's why I try to stay in positive spirits all the time and try and just be a big inspiration to others and a big hope for others. Because like I want my parents to see me doing good. Like I don't want my parents to see me doing bad. Like I want them to see me excelling in life. That's why like I want to pursue college and go to school and get a degree, get a license so I can practice in psychology. That's why I want to advocate about mental health. That's why I want to start talking to schools about mental health. Because like I said this on my live the other day, I had 16,000 people in my live at once. And I kid you not, I was just emphasizing the importance of like getting help, because like I was like, there's so many people in here, and I want to emphasize the importance of like going to get help, because if you are feeling down or worried, just like enter into psychiatric floor for a week. Like, it's like if you're of the age and you're experiencing things, just go to the psychiatric facilities or go to rehab and just talk to someone that's going to professionally help you and get you good medication that's going to not deduct, but like decrease the feeling of just pain and hurt.
How many times did you go through the wrong medications to get to the right? Because, I've been through so many meds.
Oh,
Ooh,
wow. I've been through one medication. So I don't have like this large.
really?
Yeah.
You haven't had like multiple meds that you've tried and
Oh, well, when I was in like the hospital, when I was in psychiatric, they had me on like a lot of different things. They had me on Klonopin at first, and then two other things that I forget. It's in my chart if I would go grab it, but they had me on Klonopin at first, but like all I did was sleep. And they're like, we don't want you sleeping because you said you were active before this. You said that you had a life. You said that you had the voices and you would talk, but you said that you wanted to get on a medication. I told them that I want to get on a medication that isn't going to have me zombied out. You know, I was like, I don't want to be a zombie. I was like, I don't want to be someone who just is like at home, pretty much like a vegetable, just like not doing anything except hearing things and taking medication that's not really helping. So I was like, I want something that's going to like help me and benefit me. So I had risperidone at first, and risperidone was an antipsychotic as well as alcohol. And that made me gain like 30 pounds. I got so big. I was like 160. I finally got off that. And it would also give me breast milk too. So I was getting breast milk at 21, 22. And I was like, this is weird because I'm not pregnant, you know? So
Right.
you know that's actually happened to me before with psych meds too.
Really?
That's crazy, right? It's happened to me before.
I'm glad I'm not alone in this because it was so
Before I
bad.
ever had any kids.
I don't have any kids yet, you know? And like,
Right.
I'm just not there yet to start having breast milk come out of my boobies. Like,
The day that medication
Hey,
you start doing
right.
breast milk, we gonna have problems.
But you know what it is? It does. I've talked to my doctor about that before. That is a weird side effect that can happen.
is.
It
It's
is.
so weird.
The weight gain is another one, and that's the reason why I hate to say this, but like I will not take certain meds because of that side effect.
Yeah, like I was like a little nervous when they put me on antipsychotics because I was like, I want something for schizophrenia, you know, like not antipsychotic because I'm not psychotic, but like I guess it's a form of like being psychotic, you know.
Right, I've been there. I've been on all the meds, so many of them.
So like now I got on a new medication called Alprazole, and I take that at 6 p.m. every night, and and it's super good. It made me lose all the weight, and I also fasted. When I first got on it, I fasted for like a week, and then lost like 10 pounds, and then the rest of the weight that I lost was just from the medication that I was on, but. I'm now weighing 120, so I lost.
Well, you look amazing.
Yeah.
Your surgeries are all coming together so beautifully for you, like really, truly.
That means so much to me, guys. You guys have been here in the journey of my recovery, and it's been so.
And you know what? We're gonna see you all the way through. We're gonna keep following you to make sure.
My podcast one day.
There you go.
I'll
sign me up.
Heck yeah. I have a YouTube channel called Grace and Glamour Guide, and like the grace comes from like my Christianity, and then the glamour comes from like my love of makeup and just like doing my makeup and feeling confident and doing makeup. So I want to do like tutorials and like little like tech talks and you know just small stuff to like you know interact. I have 70 something subscribers on YouTube, but like I haven't posted anything yet. I'm just waiting to get a camera and then hoping to start. So
use your phone.
I have a question about the makeup. So you've always had a love for like beauty and makeup, correct?
Yeah.
So when that happened to you, was it hard for you to accept yourself as what you were in that moment? Because you've changed so much since then.
I have changed so much since then, and I like look at those pictures a lot. Like I remember my mom and dad came to visit me, and I grabbed my mom's phone and I was like, Mom, I'm gonna take some pictures of myself because I want to remember this. I want to remember what I looked like when I woke up from after getting out of the medically induced coma. So I took some pictures, and the pictures that I have pinned on my profile, I look back at those images, I'm just like, wow, like it was so hard for me to even feel like human, you know, like I didn't feel real. Like I feel like I was just like this dead girl walking, and I was
So was it hard for you to put makeup on your face and
yeah,
like get back into like the I'm going to put myself together on a daily basis?
you know,
Because
it
that's
takes a
so important
while.
for mental health.
It is like it's so important for us to have like self care. Like
Right.
regardless if you're a guy and your self care is like you don't have any self care, it's just like maybe going to go get a haircut, or maybe going to like hang out with boys, or maybe going to like get a facial one day, or go get a pedicure for your toes. You know, like little things that you can do just to like feel better about yourself and just feel like I don't know what guys do, or you can go play golf. I don't know, self care day.
Yeah, that's about it.
But self-care is it's like
crucial for the
medicine.
mind.
Right.
Definitely.
It's medicine.
It is, and like it took me a while to start doing my makeup, like because like I was scared to like put makeup on my face because I was like I don't even have a chin to even be putting makeup on, so it's weird. So the only thing I would wear is mascara because I have short eyelashes, so I just wear mascara in most days. But like now I feel like I would have a bandage on, and I was like, you know what, we'll just do my makeup. So I did my makeup one day, and I was like, wow, I feel pretty, even though I don't look it. I'm kind of still missing my chin. It was like it was so hard to like just come to terms with it and like
Right.
digest like the attempt, and like I like still sometimes to this day don't even call it a suicide attempt. Like I don't like I call it like a shooting. Like it wasn't a shooting. No one shot me. Like I shot myself. You know. Like I had to come to a realization that it was a suicide attempt, and like I did try to do this for myself. And like I know I'm one out of 54,000 people that it's 54,732 people that attempt like with a firearm. Like I'm one of that percentage. Like I don't want any more people ever attempting.
So, how do you go about like I don't know, how do you go about talking to your parents or your spouse or whatever if you were thinking about it and you wanted to stop yourself?
I don't really talk to my parents about it much. Not at all, really. My parents don't like talking about it because my dad says it makes him angry, and my mom says she's just emotional because she's like, I almost lost my baby girl. Like,
Right. I can imagine. I can't even imagine.
yeah,
Do they get any sort of counseling or do they get help for that?
no, they don't. They have each other. That's the biggest thing that they do have is each other. They've been together for 28 years, so they're like this, like to
That's good.
So like, it's very important for them to keep together and like not worry so much about me because I don't think about suicide as much anymore. Like the one time I was driving and I think me and Aiden might have been like fussing over something, like fussing about something. It was just something out of the ordinary. I don't know, but we were fighting and I was like, oh, if I could just shoot myself right now. And I stopped. I was like, whoa, Jazz, like, you literally did that. Like, you can't say stuff like that. I didn't say it out loud. I said it to myself. But, like, I just, like, it kind of just slipped my mind. And it was just so, like, it made me, like, come to, like, realizations that, like, I did do something like that. And I can't think like that anymore, you know? Like, there's not a time where a suicide thought should be going through my head because I attempted and it failed. So God gave me the second chance. And the world, the universe gave me a second chance. So now I can start living for God Himself and living better for the people to notice and heal with me, Because, like, I feel like if they see me healing and if people see me healing from where I started, they'll have more insight and be enlightened to heal on their own as well.
Is there a way that you think, because this is probably a common thing for a lot of teenagers and like whenever you're 20s, everything like that, because there's a lot of emotions going on. Do you think there is a way that you could approach, even if it wasn't like unaliving yourself, if it was depression and you wanted to talk to your mom or dad about it, like what would you do now, kind of seeing the responses after the fact and everything? Because I could see that, like if my kids came to me about that, I would almost focus less on them and focus more about what I did wrong.
Yeah.
Because I'd be so worried about it.
That was kind of how my dad was feeling. Like, my dad was like, what did I do wrong that my baby girl, like, shot herself? Like, what did I do wrong? And he was like, I failed as a parent. That's what my parents thought. Like, we failed as parents. They thought they failed because, you don't meet people, like, on a day-to-day basis that survive a suicide attempt with a gun.
The way that you had it, like, positioned, it's crazy that literally you're talking, like, the way that you put it was like if you moved it a little bit, you would not be here.
Right.
I feel like if like I was aiming like to like I didn't want to be alive at the time, you know, so I was like really aiming to like end my life. So like I didn't have the gun like at the beginning of my chin because I had like a V chin at the time. Like I had more of a round chin now, but like when I didn't shoot myself, I had like a V chin. So it wasn't like I was at the tip of my chin. Like I was like back here, like closer to like my throat. So like,
wow,
you know, I was like, oh, and if you're wondering what this is where my tissue center used to be. So this is just like a buildup of liquid that'll slowly go away.
Right.
Because they put like a balloon in there, right? And it kind of stretches out your skin.
Yeah.
Yep.
That'll go away. I just have to like be wearing my head wrap. So as soon as we get off of here, I'm gonna put my head wrap on for the day and just like chill at the house. But
I saw that. It's that little contraption that like keeps everything nice and tight.
Yeah.
Hey, every woman would like something like that.
Yeah, it's really good actually. My room is like you're kind of benefiting because you're gonna get the best jawline. You're gonna
You
be nice.
are.
Yeah.
I might want to borrow that.
Yeah, I have extra. I'll send one to you.
There you go. But you know what? I just love your positivity. I love your restored outlook on life.
Yeah.
The fact that you're so grateful for everything today.
Thank you. You know, I want to say two things. I have two stories. So, first thing is super short. I see this girl comment on my page. I was just on live before hopping on here. I was on live and I was trying to like broadcast like, hey, I'm going live. I'll be on a podcast. Guys, join in. I had like 5,000 people in there at once, and I was like, guys, don't forget to follow Kyle PodTox. It would be awesome. We're going to be talking about mental health. And this girl, I seen it on Instagram because the notification popped up, and she said, you had everything. I was like, wow, I had nothing. If only you knew what I did not have. I had no one. I didn't have my family because we weren't close. I didn't have my boyfriend because we were on a break. I didn't have the job because I lost it because I was late too many times because I was hearing things and trying to figure out how I could get ready. And and like mentally be like okay there while I was hearing the things I was hearing, trying to talk to other people and like do the things, schedule appointments. Like it was just hard. And
isn't it crazy how when people are outside looking in, they might think you have it all, when in all reality, you are literally holding on by a thread sometimes.
Yeah, and it's like that's how I was feeling. I was hanging on by a freaking thread.
Right. I've been there.
I'm literally a walking miracle. Like I don't know how the heck I survived. And I think to myself, like when I walked out of the room and I looked into the mirror, I didn't walk into the bathroom, like walking out of the room, like it's like a little hallway. And like it's the bathroom like here, the hallway's here, and then like it's pushed back that way, and then you have the bed area. So I was walking, I seen myself in the mirror. I seen like all this is going, I seen blood just dripping. I seen Aiden running in the room on the phone with 911. And then he grabs me and he's like, come on, like he's like slowly pulling me to the ground. So like I feel like we fell faster, but like he pulled me to the ground and I laid there and I was like, okay, I'm dying. And then 5 seconds go by, I'm like, okay, I'm not dying. Okay, I need to get up. So I was like, I started like fighting Aiden on the floor, and then
that inner fight kicked in. That like fight or flight.
Yes, that's when my war spirit kicked in. I was like, okay, this is going to be the longest recovery ever. And I remember hearing a voice, and the voice said, "How did you fail death?" I was like, oh my god, that could just not happen anymore. I was like, how is it that I shoot myself and the voice didn't stop?
And you're like, shut up.
Yes!
Right?
Literally, I was like, shut the freak up. Like,
you just want silence.
Yes, it was so scary and so overwhelming. And, like, I just had to, like, I was so happy they put me in a medically induced coma because I just slept and, like, I didn't have the best dreams, but I didn't have the worst dreams. And I was just, like, you know, I knew I was alive. I knew I was being taken care of in the hospital, and I just appreciated not having voices and just having the ability to just be asleep.
How traumatized is your boyfriend now after experience? I can't even imagine.
He's
like, I can't.
Traumatized. He's like scared to death that I'm going to try
to
myself again. He's like, I don't ever want to come close to losing you again. He's like, I held you in my arms, and I thought you were going to die in my arms. I didn't know how bad these like. I didn't know where you shot yourself. All I seen was blood, and I knew that all I needed to do was get you help. That was the only thing I knew how to do and what to do in that time. And he's like, I'm so scared that like you're gonna try and attempt again, and I don't ever want you to feel like you have to. Like I want you to come to me and talk to me for things, you know. And we talked about getting him counseling. So I think what's gonna happen is I'm gonna see if he can't like just come into my therapy sessions, like my psychology sessions, and like really just talk to my psychologist about stuff because I don't mind. Like me and him are best friends. We're literally dating, so like we spend every hour together, every second together. So I know everything about him. So I know like him expressing himself and his trauma and what he felt that night and what he's been experiencing and what he's been feeling these last 2 years in my recovery journey. It has to be a lot, just as much as it's a lot for me, you know?
Would you say that in that moment you felt like you had no connection with anyone?
Yeah, like
Was that what you were missing?
I had no one. Like there was weeks that I would go without talking to my parents. My parents were like, we're not going to talk to you because you're making these assumptions that it's us, and it's not us. You know, it's not your family and these like spiritual realms harming you, Jazmine. It's, you know, the devil hurting you, Jazmine. Like you need to come to terms with who it is, what it is, and what you need to do. And I was just still so like scared to do anything because I was scared to go outside. I was scared to like be around people because all I heard was voices. So like I couldn't hold conversations with people. Like I tried to get a job. I worked at a company named Mumio, and it was a solar panel company. And this is like that was my last job before I had a job myself. And I was going door to door. I was a salesperson, so I had a pitch. I would try to get sales. I had like 2 sales in total, but it was just really hard because like I would laugh at random things. I was just like, I seemed crazy to the eye. I didn't realize how crazy I was making myself seem, and like it didn't come to realization until my boss like, I think I'm gonna have to let you go here because I've got so many complaints, not complaints, but so many questions about what you're going through. Like, what's going on in your life? Like, are you treating? I was like, no, nothing's going on. I don't know what you're talking about. He let me keep my job because I told him nothing was going on, but he's seen it. He kept seeing me, like, laugh at the random things or, like, talk. When he was talking, he was like, why are you talking right now? I was like, I'm sorry, forgive me. I'm just, like, I'm somewhere else right now. And that's when he was like, okay, I have to let you go. So he let me go.
Have you ever had people mistaken some of that for like maybe substance use disorder, like thinking that, you know, like, oh, this girl must be on something or doing something because something doesn't seem right?
Yeah, like I had a lot of assumptions from other people, but like
I'm sure.
Like I wasn't on some like substances.
Right.
I wasn't using anything. I wasn't doing drugs. Like I didn't even smoke weed. Like I would like if the only time I would smoke weed would be on weekends, and that would be if I was going out downtown, you know. And like I would try to live a normal life, but like it was hard to do that with all the things that I was hearing. But what you were saying, is just in my mind. What did you say? You said the assumptions of being sober, being
right.
Yeah.
Like people might assume that you're doing something you're not.
The doctors were like, she needs a talk screen. I was like, I didn't like. I was trying to talk while I was like being laid down. So they laid me down, and I remember hearing like, you need a talk screen because they thought I was under the influence.
Right.
I tried to say I'm not on anything, and that's when I remember just being put out, and I remember like nothing after that. But I think they had taken pictures of me when I was laid on the table, and when they were cutting off my clothes and stuff like that to get me into that surgery room. I think they took pictures of what I looked like and showed my parents. But I like really hope they didn't, because I really wish and hope that my parents didn't seem like that. You know, like that's a very frightening thing to see. So I hope that when they seen what I looked like, it was the picture that I had pinned with like in the hospital. You know, I hope it's something like that and not like all the bloody massacre, skin off. You know, I don't want that.
You get so much rejection going through sales. That's like a hard position to be in whenever you're already got so much going on.
Yeah, and it was hard because like a lot of the times when you would go out to your like areas, like you would have to like drive like 40 minutes to get to your station, and your station was like a neighborhood of houses. Like, you know, like those nice neighborhoods of houses, you know. So we'd go like in those communities, and we'd just go door to door. But it was so hard because we had to buddy with each other. So like we had 2 people walking and like splitting the door. So we'd go on one side of the street, and the other person would go on the other side.
Right.
But when we got done, we'd walk together and we'd talk. And it was so hard to like talk to like other people as I was working, because I had voices talking to me, and I would respond back, and I was like, okay, that was funny. And it was just random stuff. Like, and I would ask like, who are you? And they wouldn't say it. They would say like, I'm your dad. I'm like, oh, it's my dad in here. And I'm like, Dad, what are you doing in here? And they would like, the devil or whoever it was would like act as if they were my parents. So I was hearing my parents' voices, and I was like, why am I hearing that? And it was scary. And I was like, this doesn't seem like something my parents would do. How could I even be hearing my parents' voices right now?
Right.
And that's why me and my parents were at such a difference, because they were like, Jazz, we're not hurting you. We don't know what you're going through, you know? Like, we're really worried about you, Jazz. Like, we don't know what to do to help you. We're so far away. All we know is to tell your boyfriend to take care of you and, like, send costs over to your house so we can get you to the hospital so you can get in the psychiatric floor. Like, we don't know what you want or what you need, but it's not us. And
Right.
it was hard to, like, imagine if you heard your parents' voices, guys. Like, what would you do?
Right.
Like, how would you react? How would you feel? Like, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, how would you feel? It was just scary, you know? So,
is it a criticizing voice? Is it a voice that's always like
kinda.
telling you you're not doing good enough?
Something like that. It was something like that. It was like deep things, and it was like hurt a lot, you know? It was just hurt the things that I was hearing. I was like, there's no way that I'm hearing my brother say this to me, you know? Like, there's no way.
I'm sure that it was so scary. I'm sure that it was very, like, creates a lot of fear for you.
A lot of confusion as well, because, like, I was, like, convinced that it was them. You know, that's why we were at a difference. That's why we weren't close. That's why I had no one, because my parents...
Your reality was different than their reality.
Exactly. Like,
Two different realities.
Exactly. Like, my brother was getting married, and I didn't get an invitation to the wedding because of the things that I was going through.
I understand.
You know, and they're like, we can't have you at the... Like, they didn't tell me until, like, after I was, like, you know, after the attempt and after getting out of the hospital. They didn't, like, tell me the reason why they didn't want me at the wedding. But, like, you were going through so much. We didn't want anything or people looking at you like you were crazy.
And you know what? That's hurtful as well. Like, I could see that being hurtful because you're thinking, like, that's my family. And now, but in all reality, they probably wanted to just shield and protect you from a lot of unnecessary, oh my God, and reaction.
Exactly. And I think what it was just them wanting to protect me and really, like, help me, just not help me in any way, but just protect me from, like, the judgment and the criticism.
And give you a little bit of time, give you a little bit more time because you were in a fragile state to heal a little bit more before you had to deal with that.
Yeah.
Whenever you're hearing all this, and obviously your parents are going through their own thing and your family's going through their own thing because you are dealing with all this and you think it's them. But, like, after the fact, whenever you made your attempt, what did they do? Like, they blame themselves, but what, like, how can you cope with that? You know what I mean? From their perspective.
They said to me that they'll never heal from my attempt, you know, because it was scary. Like, their youngest really shot themselves, so, like, it's something that they're never going to heal from, you know. And I tried to tell them, like, it's important to heal, you know.
They probably just lean on one another, right?
Yeah, they really do. And I think, like, my dad told me, actually, he was like, your mom gets emotional when she looks at your old pictures because you were just so gorgeous and so beautiful. And, like, you still are.
Still are.
Yeah,
you are beautiful.
And they always emphasize that I'm still beautiful, but they're just like, you're gorgeous, and it looked like you had your life going for you. Like, you didn't seem like you were suffering. Like, you would post pictures and it seemed like you were okay. But, like, there was a point where, like, I went kind of manic. Like, I was writing stuff on walls. I was writing stuff on mirrors. I was writing stuff on shower mirrors. Like, there was a point where I was writing, like, all the things that I was hearing down, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to write this down so I know I'm not crazy. So when my roommates seen it, they were like, okay, you're crazy. Like, okay, I think you need help. I was like, guys, I'm not crazy. This is the stuff I'm hearing, and I don't know what to do. Like, I don't want to, like, deal with it on my own, so I'm just going to write it out so I can just, like, look at it and not feel like I'm going crazy and know, like, I just did hear this, and it is real. You know, because I was just, like, in a moment in time where I was just like, this isn't real, I'm not actually hearing this. I'm just going to...
I can relate to so much that you say because I've been with a lot of mental health struggles, and it's like mental health gets stigmatized no different than substance abuse. You don't have substance abuse issues, but did you ever have issues recovering from your surgeries with, like, feeling like you wanted to feel numb and, like, medicate yourself? Or
I did have an issue. They prescribed me oxycodone for after my surgeries. That's what they're doing after every surgery, because, like, it is painful. Like, the surgeries that
you're going through a lot of
surgery
surgery.
that I have had are painful, and they're like, it's a long recovery. It's a hard recovery. You have to have, like, a certain kind of strength to, like, recover the way that I've recovered. So, like, I was attempting to try and use it. I was like, I am having, like, problems with, like, my body and the pain that I'm feeling. Is there any way that you can, like, when they prescribed the medication, I was just gonna like take it and abuse it, but I was like, you know, don't do it. And they actually didn't suggest me getting more medication. They said, how about physical therapy? So that was just God saying, you know what, Jazz, no, it's not happening again. You know, you're not gonna allow yourself to feel numb and allow yourself to get in that dark place by taking oxycodone just to numb pain. You know, you're better than that. So how about physical therapy, you know?
Which is really, I mean, a lot of doctors weren't doing that. They weren't like seeing that connection and making that judgment call. So that's huge because whenever you're in that type of headspace, you just made an attempt, you're going through all these surgeries and it's a lot. Those pain pills become like the highlight of your day.
Yeah, like they prescribed me. They prescribed that shit to me again. Excuse my French, but I took it after I got after I woke up. They were like, "Okay, you need to take your medication because you're in." I was crying when I woke up. I was like, "Ow!" Just like bawling my eyes out. And they're like, "Take your medication, take the oxycodone, and you're gonna feel better after this." So I took it, and I kid you not, I was going cross-eyed. I was seeing double. I was like, "I can never take this again." So I had like a whole bottle just filled on my counter, and I'm just like, "No one take this. We're throwing this away. Don't take this. It'll make you see things. Like you just don't want to deal with that." So I don't want to deal with any kind of like highness because I don't do well high. I'm just not a high person. So.
Do you utilize medical marijuana? Do you smoke?
My friend has his medical card, and he suggested that he like we'll give him $20 to like use his medical card. Like we can't use it, but he'll go inside. We'll give him $20 or whatever.
Right.
And like he'll get us like pre-rolls, like joints, and like I'll take 2 hits and be fine. But like I don't like have this urge to like get high or want to smoke. Like it's not unhealthy. Marijuana is not a drug. I think it's a plant. It's used medically in so many ways. It helps and heals so many people. So I don't really look at marijuana as a drug. I look at it as a healing plant. This girl I met, she's like, "Why don't you try microdosing on shrooms?" I was like, "Are you insane?" I was like, "I have schizophrenia." I was like, "I see things sometimes. You know, like what I would see if I did shrooms. Like, you're not a friend of mine. Like, you obviously don't care about my well-being. If you're like trying to introduce me to like shrooms, like what's wrong with you? Psychedelics. Like, that's not." They say eat the edibles.
Well, microdosing is I mean, it's very different, but still, whenever you're whenever you have to worry about that type of thing and voices and stuff like that, I feel like that is a very risky thing. You would have to make sure you're like supervised for sure.
Yeah. Definitely done like there's like places you can go, like it's like ayahuasca. Mm-hmm. I feel like that would be a good place to like try to like microdose or something. But I just know it's not for me. It's not something that I want to indulge in. I don't want to feel like I'm going to like take something that's going to only affect my schizophrenia. Because like I told you before, like I don't hear things anymore. And like it's been about 4 or 5 months, 6 months about me not hearing things. So it's like, it's been moderate and pretty good. But like, I just don't do anything to affect that. You know, I don't want to like go back to like the old me and like the old person. Because like, when I was like 18 years old, 18, 19, 20, I had a problem with ecstasy, and that was my drug choice, so I abused that and then stopped finally because I was like, okay, this is not for me. I almost died. I took MDMA, Molly, and almost literally overdosed, so I was like, never again. So I've been clean for 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, so 5 years.
Especially like Molly and everything, I could see how that could affect.
Yeah, that's why when, like, because my parents knew about that time in my lifetime, so they told my parents, and they were like, we know that she abused Molly and shrooms before, and we don't want her to have this be the reason that she has schizophrenia now. And the doctor was like, this could be obviously one of the reasons why she has it, because she abused it, and now her brain chemicals are a little different than ours. You know, she's wired a little different because of the hurtful drugs she was putting in her body at the age of 18. Like 18, like your brain's still developing, you know? Girls don't start developing until they're about 25, 21 years old, 21, 25. 25. So like, I'm still developing now. Like that's why I'm going to school like in my prime, so I can like retain the information and really like use it and like help others with the information that I'm learning. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I just think that it's amazing how you want to try to help and reach as many people as possible.
Yeah, and I'm not done yet. Like my work's not done. Like I made because like I know Alex Earl. You guys know her.
I saw that you were trying to get her attention.
Yeah, like I think that would be so beneficial for not only her but for me. she has 6.3 million followers, and I'm such a small account to even like notice. But like, I have 60,000 followers, and I feel like my story touches so many people already that like, if I would get on her podcast and explain my story and explain like schizophrenia and how to deal with it and how to help others and just the importance of mental health, I feel like that would be beneficial for both of our communities. And like, she never responded. People would tag her, but
a lot of times, and in the older generations, mental health was seriously stigmatized. Like
Mm-hmm.
my parents' generation, they
yeah.
don't believe in going to the therapist, the
Neither did
psychiatrist.
my parents.
But
My
guess what? My whole entire life
huh?
is a therapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist.
Yep.
I pour into my mental health because I know that if I don't and I don't focus on my children's mental health, they're going to be in the same situation that I was.
I want to advocate to schools and like tell kids now, like, it's not a bad thing to get help from a professional. It's not a bad thing to open up to your family about like what you're experiencing mentally and emotionally, because like your family is going to be there for you to help you, and like professionals are going to be able to provide you the help that your parents can't give you. So that's
What
why.
are your thoughts, though, on a child that's parents are not receptive to getting them the right help? Because a lot of times the parents don't believe in mental health help.
I would say put yourself in your child's shoes and really try to digest and understand their pain, their hurt, their feelings emotionally and mentally, and then use it to get them help, like,
Right.
so put yourself in your kid's shoes and then see how they would feel and see how they hurt, and then go get them help. Because if you put yourself in your child's shoes and you're like, okay, if my daughter's hurting, my son's hurting, or my I don't know, but if my son or daughter is hurting and they're not feeling emotionally stable or mentally stable, it's time to get my child help. And that's
Can I
important.
ask you a personal question?
Of course.
Speaking about children,
Okay.
are you scared because you do have that gene to
Yep.
have a child?
Yep. I fear
I
that. That
But
is my biggest fear, because I'm like back and forth about kids, and like I want them so bad. I want to be a mommy. Like I want to have my kids be like, "Mommy, mommy, I love you." Like that would just fill my heart with joy, like joy that I could not express. And I just don't want my kids to suffer the way I suffered. Like I have suffered so much in my lifetime. Like I was molested as a kid. I was bullied as a kid. I was shied away from like anything when it came to sports, because I wasn't the best at it. So like I didn't get the love and fulfillment that I needed as a child. Like I got
But
it.
let me tell you, you slay at makeup. You
Thank
slay.
you.
That is something that you do well.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've watched makeup videos since I've been like 12 years old. So I've really loved, like, well, not younger than 12, but 12 was really when I started wearing makeup. But yeah, it's important for us to seek the help that we deserve, because if we don't, and if our kids are suffering or not getting them help, it's only going to affect them more, and you don't want your
And
child.
that's like why my son has that gene. I
Yeah.
told you. So now I always try to make sure that he has a psychiatrist following him,
Good.
that he goes on a monthly basis, that I make sure that I prioritize his mental health. I do therapy. I want to make sure that my kids know and understand and feel comfortable doing the things that help me
Mhm.
cope. And, the things that I didn't have growing up was mental health support.
Yeah. I'm sorry you didn't have that growing up, and I wish you would have, because it would be so much more beneficial for you now today. But what you've gone through, and like your story and your mental health illnesses and your issues that you face, like it has built you into this person that you are today, and you're a strong
Right.
woman.
Just like you. And what I wanted to say is, honestly, you would make an amazing mother.
Thank
Don't
you.
let that fear hold you back,
Thank you.
because what you can get back in return, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, it's worth it.
Yeah. I just feel like I know that I'm not gonna try
When
and,
you're ready, when and if you're ever ready,
yeah,
but you would make an amazing mother.
I
you
was
you
like
can
28 years old.
to watch out for it too, and I mean, you've
Right.
experienced it, so you know the signs and stuff
Yeah.
like that, so you can be more careful too.
Yeah, like
That's a good point.
I never want my kid to like come to me and say, mommy or mama, I'm hearing things, and like just like that sink in my stomach would just be like so scary, because like what I hear, I feel like it's like you know who, and like I don't like that, and I don't want my kids to face that darkness, because like they don't deserve that, because if you are a child, you're a child of God regardless, and I want my kids to have like a light in them that radiates through their soul and their everyday lifestyle, and I just don't want my kids to suffer, and it's fearful for me, because if they do suffer, I know like my boyfriend may or may not hold resentment towards me, because he's like, wow, I wanted normal kids, and now I don't have a normal kid. Now I have to face these adversities with my child, which I already had to face with my wife. Well, soon be, but not yet. But at the time we'll probably be married, so I don't want to face these adversities that I had to face with my wife when she was 21, 22, 23, and now my child's going through it. So I don't want to have like a point in time where we're just at a difference because I had that gene and now my kids have that gene,
Have you thought about, adoption or anything too?
I have, and I think adopting would be really nice, and I could adopt at a newborn, like I could adopt a newborn at any age, so it's available, but like I do want a couple kids of my own regardless. Just because, like, I know my kids are going to be adorable,
Well, and kids, it's hard, and every time they get hurt or are going through something, it's hard to even explain how, like, soul-crushing it is, but the rest of the time, it's, like, great. It's amazing.
Well, thank you for that. I'm excited to have kids, so thank you for the advice that you guys give, and I'm definitely going to try and listen to your tips and tricks, Marie, like, making sure my kids are seeing psychiatrists and therapists, and making sure they're on top of their mental health at a young age, so when they get to the point of like getting to like their 20s, they don't get hit with schizophrenia.
Right, and they have those proper coping mechanisms that were taught to them, because I didn't have that tool belt, and I really think that if I had the right proper mental health services when I was younger, I would have never went down the road of self-medicate myself.
Well, that's awesome. I'm going to hop here, guys. This was an awesome podcast. And you guys
Thank you for coming on again. And we would love to have you again, because honestly, this is a great topic to continue.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really good topic to just keep persistently talking about and keeping alive, because you want to keep other people alive while we're trying to heal. So,
yeah, we'll be in touch, homie.